Hello, hi everyone. Welcome back to our another project in Excel part where we will be discussing about how can we build a Netflix specific analytics dashboard. Now, I hope that everybody knows about Netflix and used to watch movies, shows over there. We'll talk about today in this specific discussion what exactly we supposed to do as an outcome. What are the results which the clients are expecting from us? What is the end-to-end life cycle for the same? And how basically we will start our entire, I would say, project part. So, as usual, whenever we focus on any project, I hope you all know that our main first specific task is to understand the problem statement. So, first of all, we will spend some time in terms of getting a problem understanding, basically, to gain the business context uh, specifically. So once we will be able to gain that specific understanding, then maybe we can further move ahead and we can talk about the data collection part. Over here, data is something which is already given to you. Just now, I will showcase you as well in this specific discussion. But definitely, it could be a case depending upon what specific problem we are solving. We might need to collect our data. It could be from APIs, it could be from any database, right? It could be simply given as a CSV or Excel form. For example, in this discussion, we already have a data available in the Excel form, right? So once this part will be done, then definitely we have to work on our next specific phase where we need to work on data preparation. And I would say before that, it's very important to understand the data. So yes, we ideally supposed to spend some time to understand what are the features that we will be having, what exactly each feature indicates. So over here, our main focus is to gain a understanding of all the rows. I mean, usually that's a common question that how much is the data size that you have worked with, right? So how many number of rows we have and how many number of columns we have and what exactly each and every row and column indicates specifically the features that we will be having, the columns we will be having. We need to understand that specific aspect. Once we will be able to gain the understanding of that part, once our data understanding portion will be clear, then we are confident automatically and we can start working on data cleaning part where we will try to prepare our data uh, in such a way that when we try to create a dashboard out of it, now see this pipeline what we are trying to create is common, uh, be it Excel, be it Power BI, be it Tableau, whatever platform you are using to create a dashboard. I mean, cleaning is important because then only you will be able to get the valuable results, right? If let's say you are trying to create a dashboard, but in that there are a lot of missing values, there are a lot of outliers, there are not a lot of null entries available, and you have not handled it already, definitely it will be a problem in future. So at the time of data cleaning and I would say preparation or pre-processing, our end goal is to get a clean data, or I would say quality data. And once we will be able to achieve it, then we have a next specific step where we will try to spend our time in order to create the uh, dashboard. And before creating a dashboard also, I would say, specifically talking about Excel, we spend some time in doing a data analysis task. When we say data analysis task, we usually create the pivot tables and corresponding to them the visuals of it, so that we will be able to I would say identify the trends in a separate sheet for the different columns that we will be having. And then we go as a final nutshell where we will create the dashboards, because as I already have mentioned multiple times that when we try to create a dashboard, it's a kind of a one page you can consider, one sheet you can consider, where all the important crux of whatever work you have done should be there, right? Now, it could be the cases that, you have created hundreds of sheets and you have worked with hundreds of features. But depending upon what exactly the problem statement you are dealing with, maybe only 10 of the visuals are important, and that is something which you want to showcase at the end of the day. So maybe over here, our end goal is to create a dashboard. Dashboard is something which contains the important visuals only, right? So you have to be very conscious over here that what are the exact problems which we are figuring it out in the specific entire project series, and then only you will be able to decide that which specific visual is important for me over here, right? Now, once you will be able to create the visual and dashboard corresponding to it, the last important thing is data storytelling. Again, very important, because I always say that one thing is your technical skill set, whatever work you have done, whatever insights you have gained. Second thing is how you are trying to communicate those to the clients or the stakeholders, right? uh, I have seen a lot many people who are really good in terms of technical part, able to create a dashboard also, but as soon as they come in front of the clients, they won't be able to explain their work in a really well way, and that's why they are not recognized or appreciated with the work they have done. So specifically in data ecosystem, I would say it's very important that, whatever work you are doing, you will be able to explain to them in a layman fashion as well, right? Because there could be a high chance that they are not aware about this technical jargons, but you should be able to explain in a way that they will be able to understand whatever be the important questions or the insights they want to gain from you. Now, this is the complete pipeline, and this is the entire pipeline we also will work with. So we start today with the problem understanding, and in every discussion we will go step by step, and we will be talking about the data collection part. In this specific project, it is already available to us, so this is not something which is important over here. Then after this, we will be discussing about data understanding part. So you might feel that in a few of the videos, I will be merging a few of the steps, because over here you will be able to observe, for us data collection is something which is kind of we already have. So we work on data understanding in this discussion itself, and maybe from the next session onwards, we will be working with the data cleaning part. When we talk about Excel or in Power BI also, we have a Power Query, and using Power Query only, we will be able to clean our entire data. It's not mandatory. You can also do it in a simple Excel as well, but it's just that the kind of features which Power Query will provide to us, it's kind of amazing. So you will be able to observe, which when I'll try to showcase you, and that's the main reason you will be able to see a lot of data cleaning specific task will be done using the Power Query tab itself. So at the very end, we have a data storytelling skill. Perfect. Now let's get started. And first of all, let me tell you the business context of it. So over here, this is the problems which maybe we want to get the insights for. Apart from that, there could be other specific insights also which we can present, but these are the most important ones for the clients. For example, in this specific data, if you will observe it very carefully, let me just zoom it a bit. So you will be able to observe that we will be having something. So let me highlight also, and let me mark it as bold. So you will be able to observe we have the indexes, we have the ID, we have the title, the type, description, release year, age, certification, runtime, IMDb ID, its score, and the vote. So basically over here, our main goal is to understand which was the best movie and TV show overall in the last 50 years. So you can see when we talk about over here the type, if I will just try to click on the filter of it, the type could be either movie or show. So basically we can definitely create a slicer corresponding to it, and we can try to gain the insights for separately movies and shows. So in the last 50 years, which specific movie versus show is the best one? That's what maybe we want to understand. And then how many movies do we have in our data set across the last few years? Do we have a representation of movies from last 20 years, or is the dataset free from any such skewness? So this is also very important to understand that how the trend of movies are going on, right? In the next part, we will try to understand the rating of the IMDb score. So is this trending over the last 50 years or not? Then in the next part of the problem, we will try to understand that have more people started voting for movies, or I would say shows. So that is also very important, that when we talk about ratings or the votings, uh, are people more inclined towards giving that, or they are showcasing the interest right now as comparable to the previous years that we will be having? And then on average, how has the runtime changed? Now it might be the case that maybe few years back the movies or the shows were quite of longer duration as comparable to the current time. So that is something which we can check in the runtime part. And then how does the age certification of the movie affect its rating? So because every movie has its age certification, there are movies where the people who are having age less than 18, maybe they won't be able to watch it. So how it is affecting the rating, that's the other scenario which we have to look for. So this is the kind of the problems which we have to take care of when we are trying to analyze our data. And obviously when we explore our data, maybe anything apart from that also, if that is giving us a very good insight in terms of creating a revenue overall, definitely we will put that also in our dashboard. Now this is the overall problem statement, and you can see over here we have the features like index, ID, title, type, description, in which specific year that movie or the show was released, age certification. So you can definitely have a look onto the specific data, what each and every category indicates in the age certification. Runtime means how much is the duration of each and every movie. What is the IMDb ID, its score and its votes. So everything is available over here, right? So I hope that this specific part is pretty much clear to everyone. Now, in the next specific part of our discussion, data collection is something we already have. Talking about the rows and columns, so we have seen how many number of attributes we have, how many number of columns we have. It's 11. But I can see that there are a few features which might not have that much use, maybe index and the ID. So we will handle it in an appropriate way. So 11 features are there. And then we have almost, we can say, so let me go back. I think 5,000 approx number of rows, right? So if I will just try to select this, it is yes, 5283. Yep, 5283 number of rows. So we have 5283 number of rows and the 11 columns. And we have understood the significance of each and every feature. Now, there are few features which might not seem reasonable, or we might feel that they will not participate enough in terms of creating a dashboard or getting an insight from it. So maybe we can either think of dropping it or ignoring it. So let's see how can we handle that in the next upcoming discussion. So that's the overall idea in this specific discussion, where main goal is to understand the business context and to understand what exactly the data is all about. I hope it is clear to everyone. I will see you all in the next specific discussion, where now we will work completely on this data cleaning part using this Power Query tab, and we'll try to create the pivot tables and visuals in the upcoming discussions as well, so that we will be able to get a final look of our dashboard. So stay tuned. I will see you all in the upcoming discussion. Bye bye everyone. Hello, hi everyone. Welcome back to our another discussion, where now we will be talking about a data cleaning part. See, in data cleaning, although we have multiple steps, which I hope already know from my course as well, we have to check for the missing values, we have to check for the outliers, we have to check for any data type mismatch. If there are any, we have to handle them as well. We need to do a feature engineering task where the main purpose is to create a new set of feature from the original features that we are having. Okay, all of these things we will do. And it could be the case because I am doing a recording of the discussion. So, whatever be the most important, you know, steps which we supposed to perform, I will be performing that. And apart from that, maybe I might give you as a task to do it at your end as well. So, please listen the session very carefully. And whatever steps I am doing, just do it with me. That's the benefit of the recorded discussions. You can pause the video and try to replicate the steps. Whatever important steps you feel that I am missing or intentionally I'm not doing, try to do it at your end, right? So over here, till so far in our journey, in our last discussion, we have understood till data understanding part, right? We have seen that we have almost 5283 number of rows and 11 number of columns. We have seen the importance of each and every feature as well, but I have written down for you all again. Over here, if you remember, we have the ID in our data set. It's kind of a unique count of this ID, which will be useful while calculating and understanding the trends. So maybe if, let's say, you are trying to find out the number of movies released in 2020, you can just simply do a unique count of the ID field. Release year, at first glance, it appears to include movies from 1953 to 2022. That is 70 years of data. But if you will just check on a closer inspection, there are some years which are missing. For example, you might not find any data from for 1955 or 1957. So that is another insight which we will gain when we try to closely understand our data. Then we have a title. This is basically the data set, which becomes very interesting as many of the titles can be recognized. I hope that after the problem understanding, when I shared you this data set, you had a closer look of this data and you actually agree with me on all these pointers. When we talk about type, we already have seen this in our last discussion. We have two major types over here, movies and shows, and that's what our analysis is all about. Then we talk about description, that also we have seen. It's basically the description of the movie or the show. For our analysis per se, as per this Netflix data set, might be this description is not that much useful, but we can definitely extract the keywords out of it, and then we can use this machine learning algorithms to extract the information like the genre of the movie or the show. Then we have a age certification. I told you over here you will feel that age certification contains a lot of missing entries as well. We may want to handle these missing values separately in some cases. But here, since there is no effective way to substitute this missing information, we will leave it as it is for our analysis. So basically, see, when we have a categorical entries, it depends what type of data we have. If it's a numerical data, it's a very easy way to do the imputation of it or to handle them. Maybe we can think about handling with mean or median by checking the outliers. If outliers are there, we know that median is a more robust choice and we can do the imputation as per that. In any scenario, maybe median is the best choice, I would say, right? Now, when we talk about categorical entries, one way could be that we can directly take the mode of a categorical data. Mode means the highly frequent element, and whatever be the value we are getting, we will try to replace all the blank values with a mode of it. Now, this is a different thing. I mean, over here also age certification is a categorical entity. But the point over here is we cannot blindly fill it with mode because that is about a movie. Now, one way could be, which takes a bit of time, but kind of a better way, requires a bit of research from your end. But I would suggest ki, I am pretty sure that on the website, we will be easily able to extract the information for the movies and the shows and its age certification. So if there are missing values, and if these missing values are not that much huge, better idea could be to do a research, find on which specific movie, what was the age certification, and impute with a correct information rather than following any blind interpretation of it. So that's the important thing which we have to understand. Then we have a runtime. Runtime is clearly in minutes. It indicates that what could be the range of values when we try to analyze our data, how much is the duration of our movies or the, I would say, shows. We will try to visualize the distribution of it. And if required, we will try to handle the outliers in the field. Then we have a IMDb score. This is basically the rating of the IMDb movie or show. Then we have a IMDb votes. Over here, this is the number of people who voted on IMDb for a movie or a show, right? So over here, we already have seen that it contains almost 5,283 number of records, which includes both movies and shows. Okay, perfect. I hope it makes sense to everyone. Now, let's move further. Let's move further and let's try to clean this data. Let's try to see, first of all, whether its type is correct or not. Then, how many columns contains missing values? What could be the best way to handle them? Let's try to do it one by one. So we will go to get data, and over here from file, I think it's a Excel workbook only. Let's try to import it first. Let me go back to my data set. I will import it. It will take some time, and after that a new window will appear. So this is what we have. I will say that, transform my data. Now, as soon as I will click on this transform data, a new window will appear with respect to a Power Query editor. Now, you can see on the left side of every column, I can see its type. For example, index is of int type, ID is of categorical or textual type, title is of textual type, type is again of textual type, description is of again textual type. Then we have a release year. We have a year corresponding to it, so it's a numeric type. Then we have a age certification. So you can see in age certification, we have a lot many null values. Then we have a runtime. We have a IMDb ID, the score and the votes. Perfect. Now, the type is quite okay. I am satisfied with its type. Missing values, if I can see, I have basically for, I think only that specific column of age certification contains missing values as far as I can understand from the fields. Let me do a quick analysis of all the columns. You can also do at your end, but as far as I can understand, null values are there only in age certification. Remaining columns are still okay. Then we have a IMDb ID, we have a IMDb score, we have a IMDb votes. Okay, seems okay, seems okay. I have not filtered any rows. Okay, ji. Now let's proceed ahead. One thing which I can observe over here, because if I go back to my questions again, which I really want to analyze, for example, the best movie and TV show. I cannot able to understand that what could be the best possible column I will choose with respect to finding the best movie or the show. Is it IMDb score or IMDb votes? Because both of them are the most important columns in order to understand that which one is the best movie or which one is the best show. Now, whenever we have these kind of scenarios, we need to think over it that can we find an alternative approach which somehow includes the crux of both of these columns together. There could be a scenario where we might have a very good review of a movie, but the number of people who have watched that movie itself is very less. On the other hand, there could be a scenario where there are a very high number of people who have watched the movie, but the reviews overall might be less. So what I'm trying to convey over here that taking any single column alone doesn't make sense to me over here. I mean, what I feel that either we should think about any mathematical way to handle this problem, or better, I will be able to apply some multiplication of both of them, and will try to figure out a new column altogether, which includes, I would say, both of these uh, columns. So I will go with the second approach. What I can do over here is I can click on this add column. I will say I want to create a custom column, and over here I can write a formula. So my column name is, basically I'm taking a score into the votes. So basically what I will do over here, I will just try to take a IMDb score and I will multiply with the IMDb votes. After that, I will click on OK button. And as soon as I will click on OK button, I will be able to get a complete list of score into votes. So now what I will do is I will just click on change type, and I will change the type to a decimal number. And that's what we will be able to get. That's what we will be able to get. I hope it is perfectly clear to everyone over here. Right? Is this fine? Let me just zoom out a screen a bit. I hope now it is perfectly visible to everyone, right? So that's what we have done. Now, whatever be the steps which you are following over here, if you will just carefully see on the right side of the applied steps, every step will be visible to you. Every specific step will be visible to you. Okay, perfect. Once this part will be over, now what we will do is, maybe let's check the column distribution as well. And let's analyze our null values column, which is age certification, right? Where is that? This one, right? So if we check the profile of this column, the highest, I would say, frequency is actually for R. 161 number of records. Then it is for PG-13, 159. Okay, so it's almost similar only. And then we have a lesser number of fields. See, one way could be that for now we can just replace all the null values with R or PG-13. But currently I'm not doing anything, just for the same reason ki rather than following it blindly, maybe it's better to do a research first and then come up with the conclusion. You can do it at your end. I'm giving you this as a task. But for now, I think for the remaining fields, we're good to go. Now, what we can do is we can just go to home and we will just click on this close and load button. As soon as we will do that, we will again will come back to our main page where we will be having where we will be having the complete fields available over here. Let me again zoom out a screen a bit. So I hope it is perfectly visible to everyone now. So we have an index, we have an ID, title, but the interesting thing is we have another amazing column available with us now, which is a score into votes, which is kind of a combination of both of the values. Now I'm not relying on any one specific column in order to do the analysis with respect to the best movie or best show. I can directly work on this specific last column. Maybe I'll try to find the average of it, or maybe I'll try to find out the sum of it, whatever be the cases, depending upon that, I can work on now data analysis part. Now, before jumping towards data analysis part in the next discussion, definitely I want you to, just recheck once how can we better handle this age certification column. For the remaining columns, maybe I'm like okay, because uh, they don't contain the missing values, they don't contain the null entries. But for these, things are a bit different. So maybe it would be better if you can come up with some insights with respect to that in the next discussion. And then maybe we can start our new part of discussion in the next session, where we will be focusing completely on data analysis part. We will try to create a pivot tables. With respect to every question, we will be having a different sheet, different pivot table, and its corresponding plot. So let's try to create it in the next discussion. I hope that you're finding the sessions interesting and insightful. With that, I will see you all in the upcoming discussion. Bye-bye, everyone, and see ya. Hello, hi everyone. Welcome back to another discussion where we will be discussing about a data visualization part. So till so far in our project, if you remember, uh, in this entire pipeline, we already have gone through with the problem understanding part. We have seen the business context, uh, already have talked about data and how many number of rows and columns we have in that data. What exactly each and every feature indicate, we already have discussed about that as well. And the last part of our discussion is all about data cleaning and pre-processing, where we have identified the missing values. We have worked on feature engineering part. Now, if you remember the very first discussion where we talked about the few problems which we want to answer from this entire analysis, apart from that, obviously there could be a lot more insights which we can share. But those are the important ones which actually the clients are looking for from us. So let's go back to that specific problem part again. So this was the documentation which, if you remember, I have created at that point of time. The first problem was which was the best movie and TV show overall in the last 50 years. So over here, what we can do is, this was the last file where we have already pre-processed it, cleaned it. What we can do is we can start focusing on the first problem, and in order to get the visuals corresponding to it, definitely we need to create a pivot table and then the analyzer for that. So what we can do is we will go to the insert tab, we will click on this pivot table, and as soon as we'll click on this pivot table, it will automatically select the entire table, whatever we have in this zone. Once it will be done, I will click on this OK button, and this will redirect me to the new worksheet because that's what I have selected over here. Now, once you will click on OK button, this is how your new worksheet looks like. So now I hope that the screen is properly visible, and over here you can see that we have the pivot table fields. We have again the four drag fields areas, which is filter, column, rows, and values. When we talk about a best movie or a best show, definitely in the row part, I should definitely talk about the title. So I will just drag and drop this title under the row header. And in the values part, I will take the score of average of, I would say, scores into votes, because in our last session we have discussed that it's not a good choice to focus on only one specific column. Either it will be a IMDb score or a IMDb vote. So it would be better to just consider the multiplication of both of them, and that's why we did this feature engineering task in our last discussion. Now what I will do over here, I will just right click and I will say I just want the value fields in the form of average. So over here, now I have the individual rows, which includes the title of a movie or a show, and corresponding to it, I have an average of score into value. Now, once that part will be done, I will go to the pivot table analyzer and I'll click on this pivot chart. If you will see in the column part, we have an option of clustered column chart, right? So what we can do, we can click on this OK button, and you can see this is how our fields look like. What we can do over here is we can further try to sort these values from largest to smallest, because what we are looking for is the best movies or best shows, right? So from here itself, you can see that from these given numbers, what we observe is Inception is the highest one, followed by Forrest Gump, then Breaking Bad, then Django Unchained, and so on. Now, corresponding to it, this is the kind of a visual of the plots that we will be having, right? So over here, same insights we're getting in these visuals as well. Now, definitely we can further move ahead and try to modify this chart settings. We can say that this is nothing but the best, I would say, title based on average value of score into value. Not value, score into votes, right? Perfect. Now, one more thing which we can do over here is, if I'll go back to the slicer part, I can take a type as a slicer. So what will happen with the help of that, if you will be able to observe, the slicer will act as a filter, and if let's say I just want to look for the insights for movies, I can do that. I can see with respect to movies, Inception is the first choice. If I just want to look for the show, I can see Breaking Bad is the first choice. So in that specific context, individually we can identify the different best title, best show, best movies, right? Now, if I'll go back and over here, I'll just click on this timeline. Okay, so there is one issue, I believe, with respect to a date part, because we should be able to insert a timeline only when the date specific column will be there. Although we have this release year, but we need to check what is the type of this. Anyhow, we will work on it, but I hope this part is clear. So we can rename the file as best title based on average score and votes. Okay, this is done. Now, coming back to the next problem which we have to solve, and this is about how many movies do we have in our dataset over the last few years, and do they have a skewness or not. So what we can do over here, let's go back to our main sheet, and over here maybe we can create a sort of a line chart or a trend, so that we will be able to analyze the skewness also. For that, what we can do, we can just again go to the insert tab, we'll click on this pivot table, and we'll try to create a new worksheet corresponding to it. Now over here we have something called as release year, which we can take it as a row, and based on this release year we can have the IDs available. So we get to know that, okay, in 1953 how many number of movies are there in our dataset, 1954 how many movies are there, and so on. Now what we can do, we can again go back to our pivot chart, and we can create a specific to this, maybe a line chart. Now we have to see which one based on our data looks better. Maybe let's try to plot a line with markers, and this is what you can see. This is what you can see. So based on different, I would say, years, the release years, so we can just mention over here release year by count of IDs. So if we will go back, it is saying how many movies do we have in our dataset across the last few years. Do we have more representation of movies from the last 20 years? So over here we can see that in the recent years there was a I would say big hike, big jump, and specifically in the year 2018 approximately there was a peak, right? So definitely it's a skewed graph, and if we talk about the kind of a skewness it has, it's a left skewed, right? Because left side we have a tail and then there is a sharp peak and then it is again going slowing down. So that is something which we have gained from the specific trend part. So what you can do at your end, once I will be sharing you this specific file, with respect to every plot that we are creating over here, we can create one specific tab where we can just talk about the insights corresponding to it. For example, in this specific curve, the insight is that yes, the data is having a skewness and it is left skewed. In 2018, there was a peak, highest number of movies released in that specific year. Then there is a sharp dip, and then again the trend goes up and then further down. In the best title and the show, again we can give our insights with respect to whatever analysis we're getting from this visuals and this numeric data. Okay, now what we can do, we can just rename this sheet as well, and we can say this is nothing but the release year as per the unique IDs that we have. Okay, perfect. Now let's go back to our next specific problem. So over here, this is what the problem looks like. On average, how has the IMDb score been trending over the last 50 years? Okay, so now we're talking about the scoring of this IMDb part, right? So when we talk about IMDb score, again, I will go back to the main sheet. I'll go to this insert tab. Pivot table will create a separate corresponding pivot table corresponding to it. Now, because we're looking for IMDb score, so what we can do over here, we can just take this as in our rows, where exactly that went, release here. So this is here, and we can take the average of IMDb score in the values. So we can just click over here and we'll just say value field settings. We'll take the average of it. Now, corresponding to a unique year, we will be having the average of IMDb score. So if I will go back to my main problem, how has the IMDb score been trending over the last 50 years? So we can just try to create a visual corresponding to it, and we can see that how the trend is being changing, right? So what we can do, we can just again go back to our pivot chart, and maybe we can see over here the bar plot corresponding to it, and this is how it looks like. So you can see and you can get an inference corresponding to it. So this is based on a average of IMDb score by release year. Done. So we can see that almost it is having a consistent path. In between, you can see the average of IMDb score was highest as well. There was a sharp increase in, I believe it is 1985, right? And after that, again, it was consistent. So that is how we will be able to see using a bar chart how the trend is going on. Now, obviously, in order to edit the visuals, you can definitely work on different fill values, border values. After that, we have the options of shadow, glow, soft edges, and finally the size and the property. So we can work on it. As of now, I'm not doing anything, but definitely when you're doing it at your end, once we will be able to gain the interesting visuals, it's also important to, work on fixing the properties and the colors corresponding to it, right? So we can rename this sheet and we can say that it is nothing but the average of IMDb score corresponding to the release year. Okay, so now let's come back to our next specific interesting insight which we want to figure it out. So have more people started giving the votes for the movies or the shows over the last 50 years? So just think over it. Now, in this specific case, what could be the row specific part which we should take care of, and what could be the uh, you know values corresponding to it which we should be taking care of in the creation of the pivot table. So what we can do over here, we will again go back to the main sheet that we will be having. We'll try to create a different pivot table corresponding to it to capture the insight with respect to the specific problem. Now over here, because we want to look for the votes corresponding to individual years that we have, so I believe that it's better choice to take a release year again in the rows part. And now we will be focusing on the IMDb votes. If you want, again, we can focus, instead of doing a sum, we can take it as an average, which will give us a better insight corresponding to it. And finally, what we can do is we can go to pivot chart and let's try to analyze the line corresponding to it. So this line will definitely help me to provide the trend that whether based on the given release year, the average of this IMDb votes are increasing or decreasing. If it is increasing, in which specific year it was the highest, and when there is a sharp dip. So now if I'll just try to create a corresponding visual of it, so you can see over here how it is actually fluctuating. So over here, one more thing which we can do is we will just rename this. We can say the average of IMDb votes by release year. Done. Now, once it will be done, we can see the proper insights corresponding to it. So it went, there is a sharp increase from 1975, then again drop is there. Then again there is a sharp increase in the year 1995 approximately. Then further we can see a drop, and in the recent years 2010 approximately, you can observe over here, right? There is an increasing trend, and then after that it just keeps on decreasing. So maybe via this specific visual we won't be able to evaluate any useful insight, and that's why it is not, I would say, crucial to mention the specific visual in the dashboard as well, right? Because it's just increasing and decreasing. That's the kind of a trend we have. We don't have any consistent increase and then sharp dip in any of these years, right? So let's move further. Let's try to now work on the different part of our visuals. So let's try to rename it average with respect to the IMDb votes based on a release year. Perfect. Now let's move further, and the next specific part of the problem states, on average, how has the runtime changed over the last 50 years? So over here, we are just talking about the duration of a movie. So again, we can take release year as a excess component, and we just want to look for the change in the duration of the movies. So what we can do over here, we can again try to look for the main sheet. Over here, we can just try to work on creating a pivot table. For this specific part, we can take release year in the rows and we can take runtime in the values. Perfect. Now what we can do, we can just try to see the again trend corresponding to it. So over here, we can again try to see the stacked line with markers, and over here we can just click over this. One thing again, because we are working on the average of it, so let's take it as average. So you can see the kind of trend which is popping up over here. So what is the crucial insight over here? The insight is that there is a consistent decrease in the runtime, right? So you will observe that in the, I would say, year 1961, there was a sharp peak, and after that it decreased, then it increased, then further decreased. But from the year, I would say, 1975, it's just consistently keep on decreasing. And that's what we can see in the real time, in the real data as well. That, if we compare the older movies versus the new recently launched movies, the duration is quite lesser, right? That's the same thing I would say this specific graph is telling to us. So if we will just try to now rename this specific plot, we will say it's average of runtime based on the release year, based on the release year. So that's what we're getting over here. Perfect. Again, I'm saying that I'm not working on the formatting of these plots because I already have stated multiple times how can we do that. So please try to do it at your end. I'm just talking about the most important insights which we're gaining from here. Also, I'm not writing those insights. I'm giving you as a task. I'm just stating over here in the session. Just try to create a corresponding insight header over here and just try to mention for every plot that we are creating over here, right? For example, if I will just try to do it for one specific part, so let me just try to do it. So maybe we can create one specific box over here and we can just mention regarding this in the insights header. And over here, what is the insight with respect to the specific visual? So you can just mention that as we can see, obviously you can enhance this font size as well, but I'm just writing the insight in this header. From the above chart, from this chart, the trend has become more consistent and the runtime has broadly decreased, right? It is important over here to understand that part of the reason of this trend maybe the few data points we have clearly see for the early years as well. Now those early years are, we can see specifically 1950s, 1960s, 1970s, 1980s, and 1990s, right? This is the insight that we have captured over here. Now, obviously, you can just outline this, remove this borders from here, color this in whatever way you think is better, right? So we can just check what specific color suits better, and in that context we can just choose corresponding to it. Perfect. So that is the kind of a header I am just looking for with respect to the every visual which we are creating over here. Now again, let's go back to our new specific problem. Before that, let me rename this. So we'll say it's average of runtime by release year. Okay, let's move further. How does the age certification of a movie affect its rating? Interesting. So over here, we just have to see based on a age certification. So what we can do over here, we can again go back to the insert tab, click on this pivot table, click on OK. We want to look for age certification, and based on that, how is the effect in the average of the IMDb score. So we can choose that, and then we can create a visual corresponding to it. So maybe we can look for yep, we can also look for by bar plot. We can look for clustered column as well, and we can just analyze over here key based on the different age groups, age certification, sorry, how is the average of this IMDb score varies, and which one is having a highest average in overall in this age certification. So what we're observing over here, that TV14 is having the highest one, followed by, we can say, TVMA, followed by TVX7, and so on. So right, so we can just say कि on an average TV actually overall देखा जाए तो it shows a higher rating as compared to other movies, right? On an average within TV, if you ask me, TV14 gets the highest rating, and if we talk about within movies, I am assuming PG-13, right? PG-13 movies have the highest rating. So in this way, we can write the insights. Again, what you can do is you can again try to create a shape, and then you can just write the insight under that. So you can just again mention over here. For now, no fill. I'm just mentioning right away. What is the insight I'm getting over here? The insights are, there are three insights actually. The first one, on an average, we have observed that TV shows have higher ratings as compared to movies. The second insight that we have gained from this plot is that on average, within TV shows, TV14, TV14 gets the highest rating. And the third important pointer is that on an average, when we talk about within movies, PG-13, PG-13 movies have the highest rating. So this is what sort of, I would say, critical insights we have gained from here. Further, we can fill it as well, but yeah, that's the important crux that we have gained from this specific plot. Perfect. So with that, all the important questions which were asked from us, we have already created a separate pivot table for them, and we already tried to identify the visuals corresponding to it and gain the insights corresponding to it. Now, the next task is just to format all these plots. Okay, let me just rename first of all. This is nothing but the age certification analysis based on IMDb score, right? So this is the insight that we are getting. So what I was saying is, now the last important thing is we need to come up with these kind of headers of insights for every specific, I would say, sheet that we have created over here. And once we do that specific part, the last thing is to think which specific plots are the important ones, which we can capture to create the dashboard out of it. So the last discussion will be all about this only. But before coming to that discussion, I have given you two tasks. First task is, whatever visuals we have created over here, You have to do a formatting of it. Try to make it look good. Second task is whatever be the insights which I have not mentioned for the given years, please try to add those insights in your work. I will also do it from my end. And in the next plot, I will try to format it and add a insight header from my end as well. But before coming to the next discussion where you will see whatever insights I have mentioned, I want you to add it from your end. Okay. So with that, I will see you all in the upcoming discussions. Bye bye everyone and see ya. Hello, hi everyone. Welcome back to our discussion on Netflix Analytics Dashboard project. This is our last discussion, I would say, where we will try to discuss on dashboard creation part. So I would say almost all of the things we already have covered up in our previous discussions where we already analyze our data using the pivot tables and pivot charts. Uh, I told you two specific tasks, if you remember. One of them was to do a formatting of all the visuals that we have created. I really hope that you already have done that before jumping to this specific discussion. Secondly, I told you that with respect to every specific plot, you have to write the insights corresponding to it, which I have conveyed in the last discussion. So I already have updated my sheet and I'm expecting the same from you guys as well. So over here, you can see wherever we have some interesting insights, you will find that I have mentioned it. There are few sheets where there are no insights. It simply indicates that specific graph does not contains a lot of insightful stuff for us with respect to the analytics, dashboard creation part. So over here, if you will be able to observe, whatever be the problems that in the initial part of the discussion and problem understanding we have stated, we already have answered all of those problems in different sheets, right? Now, the last part is to create a dashboard corresponding to it, which actually includes all the visuals, I would say important visuals, and it's interesting insights as well corresponding to it. So what I have done is, for now, before this discussion, I just have tried to combine all the visuals in this one dashboard. So you can see Netflix Analytics dashboard header. You can make it on the top as well, or maybe at the bottom, whatever way you feel is in terms of creativeness looks good. For now, I have just copied, pasted all the visuals, make it as a dark theme. So you will be able to observe the first plot was best title based on average of score into votes. Then the second interesting plot that we have created in our last discussion was average of IMDb votes by release year. The third one that we have is average of IMDb score by release year. So one is via votes, another one is via score. Then we have a release year by count of IDs. Then we have the average of runtime by release year and the certification where we figure it out ki maximum I would say scores are based from TV. And when we talk about individually TV also, TV 14 actually have given the maximum of the average of IMDb score values. So all of these things we have just copied, pasted and uploaded in our dashboard itself. Again, you can just format it as per your understanding, and multiple number of times industries also have their own I would say way of creating the dashboards. So once you join the firm, you will get to know, I mean, what could be the best theme. It could be the case that companies have their own personalized theme which you have to follow. So all of these things depends on that specific part. If it's at your end, then obviously you have to apply your own creative skills on top of it. Apart from this, when you again go for any conferences or any specific firms, so you will be able to observe that they might provide you a proper document where they will be having a font size. Everything is actually written over here. So you have to follow as per that specific instructions. It is just kind of customized way which we have done, but it all depends on that specific aspect as well. Again, we have done a slicer. As soon as you will click on movies or the show, you will observe that all the required plots will be changed. If I'll just remove or the slicer over here, you will see in general the insights for combining the movies and the shows part. Now over here, the last thing which I want to convey, and I think I already have conveyed in my previous projects as well, whenever you are using a slicer, you have to connect them with the visuals that we will be having. How can we do that? Just you can click on right click. As soon as you will click on this right click part, you will get an option of reporter connections. So you have to click over here, and whatever be the attached sheets which we have corresponding to this type, you will get the pivot table names of that. So just click on that and click on OK button. Then only when you are making a changes, that specific plots will get changed. If you won't connect it, then obviously the changes will not be reflected and you will be like, why the changes are not happening. And at the end of the day, we need to create a dynamic dashboard only, right? So that's the overall thing for this specific project. Again, we have just focused on 6 specific problems, but there could be many depending upon what type of data we are dealing with and what exact insights clients are expecting from us. Depending upon that, your entire, I would say, dashboard will be different. So the pipeline will remain the same, the steps will remain the same, but we always have to focus on the problem understanding part, what exactly we want to deliver at the end of the day, and depending upon that, you will definitely try to create the visuals, insights, and the dashboards corresponding to it. I hope that you find the entire project insightful. With that, I will see you all in my upcoming discussions in further recent projects that we will be having. Bye-bye everyone, and see you.